Daytona Beach, Florida, present day. A man is enjoying a weekend at the beach, wading in waist-deep water. Suddenly, he feels a sharp pain in his foot. Shrieking in pain, he looks down into the water, where his blood has begun to pool just beneath the water's surface. He is rushed to the hospital with a serious but survivable shark bite. Government officials are flustered. This is the 6th shark attack of the year, the most in the entire country. Volusia County, Florida soon earns an unfortunate honor, the shark attack capital of the United States. As one of the councilmen is working on finding a cause for the shark bites, he overhears a report on the 6 o'clock news. Daytona Beach has one of the highest per capita ice cream sales in the country. There, on his couch, the councilman drops his glasses and stares off into space, zapped by a glorious epiphany. Sharks love ice cream. Welcome back to Lean on Success, where process improvement is self-improvement. My name is Ben. I'm a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, and today we're doing something new. We are premiering a new series on the channel called Lies, Damn Lies, and Statistics. Now, this term was originally coined by author Mark Twain, who was ruminating on the reliance of statistical data. Now, I can vouch for the idea that a savvy person with ulterior motives can manipulate numbers to say whatever they want. This series is aimed at exposing improper conclusions about data so that you know how to verify the integrity of quoted numbers. But before we jump in, I really appreciate it if you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. Now, speaking of spurious data, let's get back to this ridiculous story. Yes, Daytona Beach really does lead the nation in shark attacks. But while I might have overstated ice cream sales numbers and understated the intelligence of local politicians, my aim is to illustrate a concept called correlation. Now let's take a look at some sample data graphed on a run chart or time series. Now let's take another sample of data from a different population across the same time period. If there is a lot of similarity in the data patterns, the two samples of data are said to be correlated to each other. Now there's a math equation that can be used to calculate the percentage of correlation between the two samples, but we'll cover that in a later video. In the example from the story, the red line represents shark attacks, while the white line represents ice cream sales. See how the data patterns follow each other? This is a clear case of correlated data. This ice cream versus shark attacks example is one of the most widely used correlation examples in stats courses because it illustrates one of the most common data errors committed. Just because two pieces of data are similar does not mean that one is causing the other. In other words, correlation does not prove causation. Now, we see this all the time with political pundits and news articles. Data will be presented that shows a very obvious correlation between two things. The presenter of that data will then speculate about one thing causing the other. I'll say it again. Clever analysts often twist data to fit into their agendas. So the question remains, if shark attacks aren't driven by how much ice cream someone eats, how are these two data sets so strongly correlated? There are three main explanations for correlations in data. Causation can sometimes explain correlation, but the most frequent driver of correlation is pure coincidence. Take a look at some of these strongly correlated but ridiculously paired sets of data. This graph shows U.S. spending on science, space, and technology has a very high correlation with suicides by hanging, strangulation, and suffocation. Clearly, there's no relationship between these two variables. They just happen to be strongly correlated. Here's another one. Per capita cheese consumption correlates by the number of people who died by becoming tangled in their bed sheets. Now, unless someone was asleep and got really constipated and couldn't figure out how to get out of bed to get to the bathroom, I highly doubt that there is any type of real relationship between these two variables. Here's another one. Age of Miss America is strongly correlated to murders by steam, hot vapors, and hot objects. There's absolutely no explanation for this correlation other than pure coincidence. So we talked about coincidence being the most frequent driver or explainer of correlation. We also talked about how causation could be a driver as well. But there's a third explanation for our Daytona Beach correlation, and it's called common response. This is when two variables are having a similar response to changes of a third variable. Let's revisit our original graph showing shark attacks plotted against ice cream sales. In this case, there is a common response to these two variables. Summer, summer, summertime, ooh, summertime. In the summer, people are finding ways to cool off, not only by eating more ice cream, but also by visiting beaches more often. So therefore, the common response of ice cream sales versus beach visits and therefore shark attacks is explaining the correlation between these two variables. Did you find any of this interesting? Did I completely bore you to death? Did I get something terribly wrong? Please let me know down in the comment section and share this video with your friends. Until next time.